A Word on the Word, August 27th, 2020, on the Gospel of Mark, chapter 7, verses 32 to 37.
Good morning.
The open.
I was up early this morning and down to Rhode Island with Gracie, the dog, for her visit for chemotherapy. Her white blood cell count this week was a little bit low, so they were unable to do it this week, had to be rescheduled. So we accept what is and we go on in hope. I wanted to take the opportunity, I'm going to try to keep up with doing this, to do a word on the word for today. I'm going to be, as you could tell, I'm driving, so I'm going to be looking at the road rather than at you as a good example, or at least a fairly good example. And hope that you can hear me, as this Nissan Cube, which I love, is not the quietest highway vehicle. But don't tell Nissan I said that. They're not making them anymore anyway. So today's gospel reading is from the Gospel of Mark, chapter 7, verses 32 to 37, which obviously I can't read for you, but I can tell you about, and you will recognize it. It's the day and the moment when people brought to Jesus a man who was deaf and suffered as well from an impediment to his speech. And obviously they are interested in Jesus doing something for this gentleman. And what Jesus does is fascinating in this particular miracle of healing. He takes him aside in private, and he does two things, both of which are directed precisely at the man's situation. Jesus places his fingers in his ears, the gospel tells us. Then he spits and touches his tongue. So his ears for the deafness, his tongue for the speech impediment. Very literally hands-on, the way God works with us in our need. That's something to think about, isn't it? And to remember. And then the lines that really caught me this morning, Jesus, the gospel tells us, Mark tells us, looks up to heaven and sighs. And then he speaks one word, Ephatha, which is translated for us as be opened. And the man is then able to hear, and he is able to speak clearly, and Jesus goes out with him from that place aside, and all those who experience this man after the healing are astounded. Well, let's go back to what happens there when it's just Jesus and that man together. Jesus looks up to heaven. You know, one thing I want to be able to do in these word on the word little videos is to speak out of the gospel to the world at present, into issues that we're living with today, more than I might usually, preaching from week to week. And every preacher, every priest is different that way, especially in our time. So Jesus looks up to heaven. You know, when I hear that, I think of all the times in these days when I listen to the news, when I'm in conversation with people about our world, our nation, the issues around us, the pandemic, racial injustice, so much more. I should follow Jesus' example and look up to heaven. Because to look up to heaven, when Jesus does it, is to look up to the one who sent him, as that is phrased in John's Gospel. And to look up is to place this current moment in the hands, in the heart of God the Father. And that's what Jesus does. And then he sighs. You know, being the incarnate Son of God, being the genuine human being, I can only presume that when Jesus sighs, everything in him is in that sigh. Everything he's feeling, everything he's hoping, every frustration, everything. And so what's there in this? Is he expressing his deep compassion and feeling, knowing this man's life experience thus far and the hard parts of it in his deafness and speech problems? Is he sighing because he knows how well this man has been able to do in life? How many friends he has, how beloved he is by his family, what work he's learned how to do, despite what he carried with him in life? Is Jesus sighing because after being with us in his public ministry for some time, is he just deeply aware, moment to moment, day to day, of everything that darkens or at least colors our human experience of life, so that really for most of our lives, from moment to moment, we fail to be open to the graces that God is offering us right now, to the possibilities that the Divine One is giving us. There is so much that limits us, a lot of which is not of our own doing, and some of it is. But in either case, it limits our possibilities, our coming to full humanity, which is not to be taken for granted, our coming to fullness of life here and now. Is that why Jesus sighs, or is it for some other reason? But in any case, again, everything that is in him is in that sigh. Can't you just hear it? The man he was with could see that sigh. He couldn't hear it. One of the blessings and difficult things that was going to become true for him in just a moment is that for the rest of his life he would be able to hear the sighs and the cries and the moans of those whom he loved and of his fellow brothers and sisters in the human family. That's hard, but it's also, again, a grace that calls, that invites to the experience of full humanity. And then Jesus says that one word, ephphatha, be opened. You know, for you or I or anybody in any human generation, if we took that single word in Aramaic for our life motto, if every day as soon as I woke, I said to myself and repeated it throughout the day, ephphatha, be opened. Be opened to others, to their pain, to their joy, to their sorrows, to the ways in which they disagree with you, to the ways in which they're willing to converse with you about those disagreements or not. Be opened to try to understand others. Be opened to every conversation. Be opened to be energized by God's presence with you right here, right now, in every here and now. Be opened to the invitation to live life in its fullness. This day, this hour, this moment, this nanosecond. What a wonderful thing that would be, to take that single word, ephphatha, be open, as our life motto. Jesus' very being, Jesus' ministry, specifically Jesus' care for this man at this moment, is summed up in that word. May everything that is closed in him, again, not by his own doing, may everything that is not fully open in him, not fully present, be opened in ways not experienced until now. Those words, that word, sums up, it seems to me, the work and the person of Christ. And that means that that word and those words sum up what it means to live a human life. So today, I wish you and I the openness to look up to heaven, to God the Father, and to sigh with the burdens that you feel. Don't hold them in. Don't fail to speak them. Place them in the heart of God. And then hear the voice of Christ saying to you, be opened. Ephatha. Amen. Talk to you soon.
Please pray for peace today, but know that peace comes only after and in the company of justice.